Hi, welcome to Collective Gifts. I'm Noella and this is Rachel.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 4 of our 5-day fast for August. Have you ever noticed it's so easy to get caught up in your routine and doing the same old things, and you get comfortable in it, and you're like, well, why break that routine? It's working for me now. Just like with traditions, sometimes it's like, oh, it's so easy just to be doing this because this is what we've always done. So why change? Well, change is inevitable. God doesn't do things the same way. He always does things differently. And an example would be Jesus. When he walked this earth, when he went and ministered healing to people, he did things differently. He followed what the Father told him and what he saw the Father lead him to do. And so it wasn't what he felt like was needed. He did what God was telling him. And so it may have been speaking healing over someone. It may have been through touching or making spittle, whatever it wasn't always the same way. And so it's the same thing for us. We'll see that change is inevitable. It is part of life. It is part of our growth and development. And when we go through changes, we can't do things the same way as we did in the previous level or the previous season, because that doesn't work anymore. Just like, the way things were done in kindergarten or preschool, where you would take naps. You don't do that as an adult. We spend the entire day working, right? We use different vocabulary. We have better operating systems because we've grown and we've developed.
And so part of allowing God to change you is to be humble, so that God can bring that change in you and through you, so it can bring change to your situation and your circumstance. Whereas if you're resistant to that change, you can't expect your situation to get better. You can't expect your situation to change, especially if you feel like stuck in a rut. If you're not going to change, then your situation is not going to change at all. And so you have to humble yourself and allow God to use you and change you, and know that you can change. It may be difficult because sometimes new things may seem hard, but all things are possible with God, and God will not give you any more than what you can handle. So that know that that change is possible and you can do it, so that you can bring yourself into a higher level, and you can go forth with boldness and confidence, knowing that you are even better because of the changes. And so, God can use that change, to bring about a situation that may seem impossible and make it possible because of that change. You can learn and be humble to be corrected by God, and know that he chastens whom he loves. So yeah, got that a little confused. But just know that it's because he loves you, that he wants what's best for you, and so he wants you to bring that change about in your life.
And remember, that whole chastening, that's not punishing us. It's giving us correction so that we won't fall into the trap of making the same type of mistake, and
Yes.
that we are being more efficient and more effective, and doing things in a better way or a more excellent way.
Yes.
And, as you were talking, it was reminding me too of the fact that, like, when we go through these changes, and it can be a challenge to adapt to the change, but God's grace is sufficient for you. It may take time to develop a new routine or do new mindset or attitude, but it is doable. And recently, we went to a new church, and it was a longer commute. It's a new organizational culture or church culture. They operate differently. Things are different there. And we had to learn how to adapt ourselves too with our time management, so that we can wake up early and to be able to make the commute to church. We had to adapt to the change of the different type of people that are there, as well as with the way of doing things. It was different from, our previous experience. And not only did we have to adapt to change, but people there had to adapt to change too, because we are new people coming into, that new culture. And so they had to adapt to be able to receive us. But when we all humble ourselves, as opposed to be like, oh, they don't, if they were saying, we don't need new people at our church, we like just who is here and we're comfortable with the way things are, then they would be hindering God from moving and allowing God to fulfill his vision for that ministry. And even vice versa for us, if we were like, oh, we don't want to deal with these people because it's not like home, then we would be closing ourselves off from experiencing the type of fellowship that God had for us, from also for us to learning and growing in discipline and diligence, and allowing us to stir up our gifts and to grow in new levels. And so we want to remain, in that posture of humility, because when we start getting stubborn or prideful or getting stuck in the same old ways, then we might get into that trap of like religiosity too, right? And if that's the case, God can't work in us to be able to work through us, to be able to impact other people. And so if we want to see God move in the world, if we want to see him move in our families, in our churches, in the marketplace, in our workplace, wherever we go, we need to be able to adapt to change. And so we thank you all for joining us today. We encourage you to go forth in that posture of humility and adapt to the changes of what God is doing in your life. Until tomorrow, God bless you and Shalom.